Hello, hello, hello. What ho! Welcome back to another exciting adventure of TheUbercaste. Just calling Mark Doxey. Is that right there?
Hello, my good man.
Hello, hello, hello. What ho, old sock?
You all
What,
right,
what?
mate?
Yeah, you know. Not going to get into it now, but yeah, whatever.
Oh dear, heavy, yeah.
It's just what
Oh,
it is,
just chill.
man. It's just what it is. So,
Yeah,
I wanted to talk about the movie.
yeah. Right. Okay. I found it hard work actually.
You found it hard
Um,
to watch?
it, um, to hold my attention, it was more or less the same thing all the way through, although did different ideas. It was supposed to. It was listed as a comedy. I didn't find anything funny about the thing.
Yeah, yeah, that is
I
that
mean,
is. I don't know if I noticed
I
that.
swear, it's
I've
listed
got
as in its description as comedy.
yeah, but I've got the movie here. I'm gonna see what it says on it. Why don't I see it anywhere? Oh, there it is. Let's see if I can see what it says. If it says comedy. Yeah, these don't usually call it things, do they? Anyway,
Uh, YouTube listed it as the genre of comedy.
okay. Yeah,
Uh, so
definitely not. It's definitely not Adam Sandler level comedy. You know what I mean? I mean,
no, no,
I think that there are humorous aspects to it that are just the way life is. You know what I mean?
yeah, it was very interesting and very clever, very cleverly done. I wouldn't put it on my list of a rush to watch it again. Uh, there was two characters that I liked. The very first character that comes on that's driving the taxi that's shaped like a boat.
Yeah.
I liked his comment, and there was another guy he was in a car broadcasting a message as though he was
You want to know
electioneering.
who that guy is? Alex
Well,
Jones.
oh, was it right? Well, I related to that. I agreed with what he was preaching.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
there's a lot to talk about the different characters, um, and it reminded me of the only character in the Bible that I relate to, and that's Pilate. What is truth? You know, everybody's got or tries to work out what life's about, and they've all got different ideas to what. And those characters in the film were very sort of convinced. They had conviction that their understanding of everything was correct. Not that they were argumentative. They were happy with
Right,
what they'd concluded.
right. Go, keep going.
So that's like Pilate. He was a Roman prefect, probably educated in one of the best universities that Rome had to offer. Could have well have been Alexandria in the library there, because that was under Roman rule. And he'd heard so much philosophy of life that when Jesus was standing before him saying that I am the truth, and Pilate says, well, what is truth? I mean, give me something new that I haven't heard of, or give me something new and it'll be something for me to think about.
Okay, so what do you think? What do you think the whole movie itself was about?
What its punchline? Um, I don't quite know actually. You're gonna have to tell me there. But I mean, the guy, the main character, he's in a dream, and he's aware that he's in a dream. Is that correct? And he can't wake
Not at
himself up.
first. Not at first. He doesn't know that he's dreaming. There's a key point that he actually says later on in the movie where he says, "I knew I was dreaming when this happened." But so up to that point, then everything that happened before, he didn't know was a dream.
Okay. So, um, so is his own subconsciousness coming up with all these different theories of life?
Have you seen the movie that was written by, directed, and starred Anthony Hopkins? It was called Slipstream.
Now, I think that is actually mentioned in the Wikipedia page on the film, because
That's
I
why
checked that as
that's
well.
well, yeah, but that's even why I'm bringing it up right now, because I'm trying to correlate it to what
Yep.
this whole idea is.
Yeah.
So the idea, and by the way, I highly recommend Slipstream as a movie to watch. It is amazing. But
Right. Okay.
it's all about those last moments of death. The entire movie is in his head as he's dying in that second,
Hmm.
right? So the place where I'm at right now, and I have to politely demur and disagree with you, my good friend, but I wanted to watch this movie again right away, and I've watched it, I would say, at least 100 times. Honestly, I've either listened to it or I've watched it, and so where I'm at right now is that's what this dream is. This dream is the main character's last moments in death. And so
Okay.
it is his subconscious. Um, but there are, different aspects throughout the entire movie that I think are trying to communicate what Richard Linklater truly thinks about dreams, what dreams really are, what they're for. So at the beginning of the movie, okay, just to let you know this, right? The opening scene with the taxi boat driver in the taxi that's a boat. The other rider, the guy who says, "Tell you what, go up 3 blocks, take a right, go up 2 streets, drop this guy off on the next corner." Remember that
Yeah.
part?
Mhm.
That's Richard Linklater. He's the writer director of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
He's also the last guy who's playing the pinball machine.
Ah. Right. Okay.
Okay.
Do you get something out of it every time you watch it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
It's
why
it,
I'm.
it's ma- it is yeah, it's masterfully done. It's very clever. Whoever wrote it is very
Well,
clever.
see, the whole thing is you. I mean, you can look this up if you have an interest because it's on YouTube. That's where I. So he had this idea of making this movie, but he couldn't figure out how to shoot it because he couldn't make reality look like a dream. And so then he happened to be talking to these guys who were developing or doing this new artistic approach called roboscoping. I think it's called roboscoping. And that's the expression that you see. And so basically you shoot in live, but then you animate over that.
Yeah. I thought I thought it was too good to be true. The animation, it must have been live,
Okay?
converted into cartoon.
But what he also did was he used different animators. So then you have different styles. So
What's the context of the guy that was in prison, speaking like he was going to
it was
cut
it was a
somebody's
nightmare.
eyelids off?
It was a nightmare.
Right.
So if you notice that both he and Alex Jones were, intensely red or purple. So the emotions are there, the intensity is there. It to me spoke of a nightmare.
Right. Okay.
I
Because
I
that was he wasn't being philosophical. That guy, he was just being very very violent in what he was going to
Yeah,
do.
sure. That wasn't a deep philosophical, right? He's like, talking about, serving retribution and anger. That could, I suppose, that could speak to this main character's low level consciousness of a perhaps previous life or a previous experience where he was out of control with his anger.
Or he wanted to get vengeance on somebody.
Or whatever, but that would be something
Yeah.
I think if we're looking at this in terms of a truly spiritual projection. So in my mind, this book is deeply Eastern mystical. and deeply, I don't know how else to classify it, but then it's maybe Buddhist or Hindu because of reincarnation. Okay, so what's interesting is at some points in the movie, the character is a third person. You can see the dreamer, right? So right, so you can see him, and he's talking, and he's thinking, and he's listening to the other person, and he's shaking, not nodding his head. So you can see the two of them. But there are scenes where you can't see him, but he's there, but he's a fly on the wall. Right? So the two women that were in the coffee shop, they're having a conversation with each other. He wasn't a part of the conversation, but he was there. You know, so like, what is that? Like, you know, it's like, is your mind just doing this AI compression of everything you learned in your life and just giving you that, like, this is how I'm going to smash up 51 years of Travis's life and conversations? Like, give Travis on his way out this really impressive conversation between two women in a coffee shop about the meaning of fucking life. And then the AI that is my subconscious goes, and I have this thought in my head. Right? Anyway, so this movie to me is so multi-layered, but I think in reality that this movie is trying to communicate two things. One is that yeah, I don't know about the one. Let me do the other one first. The one that I know for sure is that our dreams are the simulation that we ought to be masters in to learn and mature and, in a sense, glorify our humanity. So, because there's so many things in this movie that talk about, oh fuck, man, I lost it, freaking lost it. Okay, so let's go back to the part. So when we see the beginning of the movie, the boy. So you see these two kids, and they're playing with this little paper game. Do you guys have that paper game in Ireland? Have you ever?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's these two children playing this game, and so when you're watching the movie for the first time, you know, there's nothing really expressed except for the fact that you're watching a cartoon. And so then you have these two kids playing, and then the boy walks away, and it's nighttime, and he looks up, and then he falls asleep standing up, and then as he starts to elevate and go to heaven. Yeah. But he holds on to the car because he's not ready to go yet. Okay? That's the conversation that the pinball player was having with the dreamer later on. He's like, time is just a distraction to keep you from saying okay to God and just go and leave and go to the next world. So they start.
I do need to watch it again.
Absolutely.
I found it hard work to watch it.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. No.
I have a short attention span.
Listen, that's okay. There's no worries about that. I mean, watch it if you want to, but I would encourage you to, because like so the whole, even at the end of the Destiny Cube, when she turns over and it says dream is destiny, like, what the fuck does that mean? It means something. So
did that film inspire you as one of your questions when you're Uber driving? One of your
I would probably think so. Because I started watching this back, I mean, at least six or more months ago. And that would have been right when I started Ubering. but yeah, most definitely, for sure. Yeah, because I bring up dreams all the time in my well, not all the time, but when I can, I have repeatedly brought up those questions. Why do we dream? What do you think we dream for? Why? I know that we do, but why? And then what if? And this blows my mind. I don't know if you've heard me say this or not, but the principle of video games and going to a simulation per se, I think, was established by what we do in our dreams. I think that when you and I go to sleep, we could find each other if we knew how to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, maybe.
We should be able to meet up for a couple of shots of Tout le Mordieu.
Very nice, very nice. Anya likes to. She goes on to the web and this websites that interpret dreams for you. It's just like tabloid horoscopes.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
But some of them are quite interesting that she'll read out. I think it's just good advice that they give you. This dream means you need to do this, or you're on a journey to do such and such. But some of the dreams that you do have are totally out of context to what you're thinking, or
yeah,
you
but
think,
see,
where the hell did that come from?
Right. I mean, I remember, I would say maybe the last 3 months, I had this dream about this kid from either grade school or secondary school or something. And I was like, that's like 40 plus years ago. Like, what? Like, why am I dreaming about this guy?
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you that I think that just like our pineal gland, the pituitary gland, all of these aspects of our physiology that deal with deeper spiritual trajectories have like, why did your education not include how to astral project while you dream?
I don't know.
They want us to know everything else about everything, but not that. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so then if you go in and you just do a deep dive, like, yeah, I just like astral projection. What is that? That's kind of weird. And you start looking up, you start delving into it, and you're like all of these cultures, all of those cultures in the past were people who had a connection with the metaphysical that we don't. And we're not told about those cultures. In fact, most of those cultures were eradicated and victims of genocide.
Yeah, by the Spanish and the British.
So to me, that shows even like, don't look over here at the spirituality of the ancients. They didn't know what they were talking about. Look over here. Japan is landing on the moon.
Or India.
Or India, whatever. Whoever it was. I knew it wasn't Japan, but I couldn't remember who it was. But right? So listen, NASA is only better than the gods of Olympus because it had pictures.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same story. That is, it's a myth about what's out there. And the only thing that changed it from any other culture that tried to explain what they were looking at up in the sky on a repeated calendrical basis, the only thing that made NASA better was a picture.
Still cartoons.
It's still a myth, right? You just simply, what people need to understand is that you can't laugh at the ancients for their myth of the turtles. What's the earth resting on? The earth is resting on the back of a turtle. Well, if you look back into the ancient cultures who had turtles, and you could see that there were 28 sections on the turtle's back that corresponds to the moon's cycle. And then there's like 13 or something like that then relates to the year. So then you have months and a year on the back of a turtle. So then why wouldn't you just tell this story that the entire world that we live in is on the back of a turtle? Because it fucking is. Conceptually. But laugh at that story of those idiot people out there, but believe our story about this big fusion ball of gas in space and all these nebula and Goldilocks zones and blah, 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 right? Like until NASA in 1969 took a snapshot picture, that was just a myth. No less than any of the other myths.
Yeah, but we had been programmed with Star Trek that during the 1960s. At the end
or
of
even
the 60s,
H.G. Wells before that, and Jules Verne.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, War of the Worlds and that. Yeah, we were programmed, and so the newspapers just gave us diagrams of how the Saturn 8, 9, and 10 would do these trips to the moon, and we just believed it. In fact, when you start investigating flat Earth, it took me a while to separate what I'd been programmed to think. You know, like I still felt there was like a disk in the middle of space, and that was the new flat Earth to me. But it's not. You learn that space is a fake. It's a myth, and all that you've got above you is lights in the sky. That's all.
Well, yeah, but okay, right. So that's what we can see. But then what do we experience with the energies? Right? So I believe that the moon's cycle should be considered 31 days. But it's only considered 28. Because you have the waxing and the waning, 14 and 14. But then you have 3 days when you don't see the moon at all.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's 31. That's like most of our months have 31 in them. Like we're in one right now.
But full moon to full moon is 28 days, though, isn't it?
But my point is that the new moon, once it wanes and it's that last little crescent of the fingernail crescent, and it just goes 3 days, it's not in the sky. Well, it is, but it's not. But it is, but it's not. It's still up there, but you can't see it for 3 days.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, there's something else that happens for 3 days in the sky in the winter solstice. And that is that the sun stands still.
Double. Yeah.
So, we can watch these things. So my point is that not only do we just have these phenomenological things, we see the same stars and the sun is the day and the moon is the months and the zodiac can be correlated to seasons. We see it in this season and this season and this season and this season, right? But there are energies that are produced in our electromagnetic and our electrostatic world that affect us. But we aren't told about the synchronicities that are possible for us if we engage in, I would say, more healthy living than we do now with all the toxicities that we have. But then with meditation and with spiritual disciplines and becoming aware of how we are affected by not just our immediate, neighboring trees and flora and fauna and whatnot, but the sky as well. The more and more I look into this, the more and more I just think, man, this stuff has been hidden from us intentionally because it obviously, again, going back to the astral projection and, just even meditation that we do here on, what you can do in your own bedroom or whatever. Like, we should be able to fall asleep and immediately just step into our own simulation as the master and just go and just be our own gods in our dreams. Because you know as well as I do, and they even tell you this in the movie, that time is irrelevant in a dream.
Yes,
because
yeah. Right, the girl in bed with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just in 2 minutes, she can have a full lifetime. Yeah.
Yeah, so he goes, yeah, so the last few moments of your life could be you've seen your life flash before your eyes. Because time.
Yeah, I think there's something in that when somebody has a near-death experience. That story of their life flashing before their eyes, I think there's something in that. Maybe, time just becomes non-existent.
Yeah, but see, what I'm trying to say is that has an aspect that we need to understand about our reality, but those are just these channels or shows on PBS that they show every once in a while over these people that have these weird experiences and we don't know what they mean. Bullshit. Yeah, they do know what it means. The people that do know. The people that don't are the ones just going, oh, tell us about your story, Mrs. Smith. Blah, blah, blah. You know, they're just an NPC like you and me. But the people who are like just showing us those little things and then laughing at us, tittering, behind the wall because we don't get it. They like, look, man, you need to look at waking life as a documentary.
Okay.
About what dreams. Like, as soon as that movie was over, I thought or said out loud, probably said it out loud because I talk to myself all the time. If this were a series on Netflix, I would watch this all day long. I would have watched it all day long because you have all of these vignettes that are dreams. And to me, I don't know about you, Mark, but one of the things that I remember appreciating, whether or not it was the first time I saw the movie or not, I was like, man, this is like really what I like think dreams are like. Because you switch from one scene to the next, right? He's having a conversation about existentialism with his professor, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's sitting with him in a coffee shop, and then the next moment he's walking to somebody's house, there's a Dalmatian dog barking, and he goes up, he's in the same dream sequence, in the same dreamscape, but he just completely, it would be like me just disappearing right now in front of you and going somewhere else. You'd be like, where'd Travis go? And I'd be like, where'd Mark go? But the guy in the dream didn't have that hiccup in his experience. He's just like, oh, I'm just going to go knock on this door and have a conversation with this blonde woman. Like, so each of the scenes is just completely non-linear. Has nothing to do with any of the other ones.
Yeah.
And the dreamer has no problem with his reality changing moment by moment. But like if you or I, like right now, you know that if you just simply appeared in America or you appeared in France having a drink, you'd be like, what, how did I get here? But see, that's the whole point in the dream too, was they were saying that in the dream, you and I aren't aware we're dreaming. But we should be.
I thought there was part of the video where he was aware of what he was dreaming.
But see, they're showing you a storyline within an hour and 40 minutes, so they have to progress. So he increases in his experience and his knowledge along the way. Yeah, he gets more and more information that he starts putting things together. Like, oh,
yeah. There's a reoccurring dream that I have regularly, and I have something important to say or a question to answer, and I've got bubblegum in my mouth, and I'm trying to take it out to say what I have to say, and no matter how much I take out, there's still some in. It's a very frustrating dream. That happens regularly.
Does it really? So,
can you interpret that?
No, I don't want to try to interpret. I could make some bullshit story up, but for sure. But So I am like, imagine being able to teach your children how to navigate their dreams. So,
Yeah.
you know, I remember before I was flat earth or anything like that, I remember thinking, man, I don't really dream that much anymore. That's kind of weird. Cuz I remember dreaming tons when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And as I've put this together over the past few months, it seems to me that the description of the student or the Padawan to the Jedi, you have to get them while they're really, really, really young, because even Anakin, who was 6, was too old. So there's an aspect to our childishness that pertains to our training ground in our dreams. So that if you could start to learn the piano as a 4-year-old, right, and you practice 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 and you practice, and you practice, by the time you're 35, you don't need to practice anymore because you're a freaking master. And when you sit down, you can talk, you can sing,
Yes.
you can say sentences that never existed, right? That's what we should be doing in our dreams. So that when we're young, we need to do it again and 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 again, because when we're in our dreams, think about this. Remember, look at them. What if this is the scenario that they were trying to show in this little in the Matrix? Remember in the Matrix when I think Trinity hooks up Neo and he's, you know, blinking and taking in all this information, and he opens his eyes and he goes, I know Kung Fu. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that part?
I never watched it. What?
Hold on. I need a glass of water. I need a glass of water because I want to go.
Listen, the reason why I started to watch it, and I just felt this is more about special effects than a storyline. And I just got bored and never finished it.
Well,
hardly even started it.
Okay, to each his own. I would beg you to watch it as if you were watching a dream. Watch it as if you were watching a dream, because that's what happens in our dreams. We can fly in our dreams. We can do all these kinds of things that's not real, right? So anyway, my point is that what if you could learn Kung Fu by going to sleep at night and controlling your dream to be trained by Bruce Lee while you're sleeping, so that while you're sleeping for 3 hours, you're being trained for 30 years by Bruce Lee. What if you could do that in your dream and then wake up and go, I know Kung Fu, and just go, you know?
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
I'm just saying.
It's all like Eric Clapton.
Yeah. There you go. What if you could do that? What if you could create? Remember this scenario where the guy, he's talking to the one guy, and the guy says, think about it. In lucid dreaming, he's like, I could fly anywhere I want. I could have a conversation with Albert Schweitzer. And even one of the commercials, when the guy's, clicking through commercials, she says that the masters of lucid dreaming are able to go places and learn things that they never would be able to learn where they are at. But because they can go there in their mind, they learn those things. So then imagine you getting to be the master that you are, or could be, and you say, I'm going to have a 30-year life experience with Slow Hand. or Chet Baker, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, what if you could do that? Okay, so, shoot, I had this connection to make. I'm just saying, like, there are so many movies that I've seen that I'm like, oh, that's in this movie, that's in this movie, that's in this movie. You got to, like, bring them all together because they're showing you different things about the nature of our reality that we have no mastery in. Because we're distracted by fucking 9 to 5 jobs and bullshit, fucking bullshit, man. You know?
Yeah. Well, half of our wage goes into taxes, so we're working for the inland revenue for us or the IRS for you. I mean, that's not life. That shouldn't be part of our lives. Working
Yeah.
half just to pay.
Well, but see the whole thing
the
too, right?
bankers.
Right. So then think about the movie Monsters Inc.
Hmm.
Did you see Monsters Inc.,
I
Mark?
did see that one.
Okay.
Yes, I saw that one. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then we saw a mythological retelling. We saw a Matrix movie. That movie was the Matrix about you, but you didn't even know it because it had a cute little girl and had monsters and blah blah blah, and it was about children. No, 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 no. It was about the system that you and I live in. We are controlled by fear. And that's where they generate their energy from.
Yeah.
But they also show you that they know that if we lived in freedom and joy, that energy would be even more exponential. The problem is we wouldn't be their slaves.
Yeah.
They
What
show
I have
you.
noticed.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
For most of my life, there's always been a major famine somewhere in the world, except for the last 10 years. The Earth is producing more food than it ever has, and the management of food has become a lot better. So we're not having these major famines, and that the controllers don't want that. And now we're hearing these messages of food shortages are on the way, and we've seen interruptions in fertilizer supplies. So they want to create another some sort of famine or food shortage, because we've not had that for a time. But it's artificial.
Are you putting pieces together, or like how are you divining this information?
Well, I'm putting things together, and I'm listening
I
to
don't
conspiracy
disagree with you.
theorists as well. Yeah, yeah. Well,
I'm not disagreeing with you.
The biggest source of nitrogen as a fertilizer comes from the Ukraine for Europe. And the stuff coming in and out of Ukraine has been limited because of this proxy war that's going on. Prices are skyrocketing for just general foods. People are really struggling in Europe at the moment to feed themselves. What else? What else have we got?
Yeah, but see, the thing about that is that when you control the supply, you control the supply.
Yeah.
You and I don't control the supply, man.
No.
I'm not demanding more. I'm not demanding more food that you're running out. There's no limitation except that which you, the controller, place on it.
Yeah, well, so you've got Bill Gates buying up massive parts of the United States farmland, and then this talk about you'll eat the bugs and you'll be happy. It's all part of the fear. The Earth produces enough food for everybody and for another 7 billion. There is no actual shortage of food, but the control of it is the problem. We were also hearing about food manufacturing factories in America going up in flames. I mean, does that always happen, or did you hear those stories as well?
I mean, I rarely see anything in the news. The only reason why I know anything about what just happened, the fires in Hawaii were people posting on Facebook.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have no clue what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't watch the mainstream news, but I do watch the conspiracy theories, and the alternative media as well. There are some good journalists that are on the ball.
Mm-hmm. Is
I
that
mean,
is that guy from Canada who's in Japan, James Corbett? Is he still doing stuff?
yeah, he's still doing stuff. Yeah,
Do
yeah,
you watch him
yeah.
still at all?
I do watch him. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
he's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's very thorough and make sure he can back everything up. Who else is
Yeah.
there? I- I've stopped listening to Jeff Berwick. He's just rude about how wealthy he is. Did you ever watch Jeff Berwick?
I've seen him. I think maybe if you shared a link or somebody else, whatever, I would watch
Yeah,
a couple of
yeah,
it. It for
yeah.
me that stuff I just it just never clicked for me.
No. Mm. So are you working tonight? You going out on the Ubering tonight?
I rarely work in the evenings. Today I just was the past 4 days I went down into DC and Virginia, which is like an hour and a half away. The whole past 2 months have been really, really slow for Uber and Lyft. And I'm just hoping to start being able to recuperate once school starts back up and I don't know, maybe the summer months and whatever. But
Yeah,
I had an easier time in the late winter and early spring than I did in the summer. Anyway, so
yeah,
normally I drive in the mornings from let's say 6 to maybe 2, and Monday I worked my first 12-hour day because I just had to make money.
yeah. So
You know,
you're only breaking even at the moment.
yeah, maybe I'll tell you in a couple of weeks. That means I'd have to stop buying whiskey and wine, and
What bottle have you got open there?
I'm just not ready to do that yet. This is actually this is not whiskey. This is brandy.
Yeah.
It's can you
There we go. Yeah, I'm not a brandy drinker. I would take a brandy after a nice dinner on a Sunday afternoon,
can you
maybe,
see the
or
can you
something
see
quite.
my can
Yeah,
you see
yeah,
me? Okay,
yeah.
Reynolds.
Right,
Reynolds.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Brandy de France. It's like one of the cheaper bottles. But the guy that I go into, I go into this place, and I went in there for the first time, and I think I had Dave Weiss's Flat Earth Podcast T-shirt on.
hmm
So I went up and I had my stuff and I put it down on the counter, and Jason was standing there and he's like, you think the Earth is flat? So then we started a conversation, and he's big into conspiracies, everything. He's not buying into flat Earth yet. He likes it. He's not afraid of it. Blah blah
yeah,
blah. But so he recommended this brandy to me because I said, look, I don't want to spend a lot of money. I like this, that, and the other. He's like, I try this brandy, and I like it. It's I bought the cheap stuff. Christian Brothers, in my mind, is like low shelf, and it's too sweet. It's got too much sugar in it for me. But anyway, listen. If you want to keep this conversation going, if you choose to, and feel free, just let me know ahead of time. Hey, you're what? If you don't, whatever. It doesn't matter. But it was funny because I was like gonna take a nap and I was gonna listen to the movie while I was falling asleep, and
yeah,
it said you are not allowed to watch this because this is trying to be watched on another account or whatever. So then that's when I texted you and said, are you trying to watch this right now? But
yeah,
that doesn't really, whatever. Feel free to
yeah,
to use my account whenever you want.
yeah.
But also, I'd love to talk to you about the Willem Dafoe movie that's in my account too, At Eternity's Gate, that I know that you'll love. It's
Yeah.
about Van Gogh.
Okay. Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I would like that. Yeah.
Very,
I,
very
I
good
listened
movie.
to I listened to your chat with your old buddy on YouTube tonight.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What did you
It was
think?
good. I'm not happy with the Gilgamesh story being the same as the Noachian flood. Which came first.
Yeah.
Um, that to me is a faith destroyer rather than a faith strengthening. Moses was just picking up, or the Genesis account, he was just picking up stories from somewhere else. Although you would say that it's symbolic, the flood.
There's so much that goes into it. It's hard not to be complicated in an answer when the answer is complicated.
Okay. Well, from my point of view,
which goes into. Go ahead.
From my point of view, if the story of Noah is older than the Bible itself, then it's not God breathed. It's a retelling of an older story.
Right, but if you then simply take that story and then use it for your story, then it becomes a different. Then it becomes a different story.
Yeah, but the Bible's not exclusive in its mythology. I mean, there's too many stories that you see echoed in the pagan world that is actually older than the
okay,
the Bible.
right. So now that's going into the discussion that I tried to segue with, and maybe I've planted a seed that 20 years from now Jace is going to go, oh my God, that conversation I had with Travis 20 years ago is like why I'm thinking this right now. But part of what I'm trying to work through, like, I want to believe that the Bible is a Bible of astrotheology, although I would rather change the terminology to be astroanthropology. That is that, I mean, look, this world that we live in is beautiful and amazing, and we see cause and effect. So I think that it's only common sense to think that something had to have been before this place. I mean, I don't know. Look, I mean, this place could be eternal. That still is blowing my mind even right now when I say that. But if we should be understanding that the physical world in which we live affects us, then it's a symbiotic relationship. So I don't like saying astrotheological because I don't know God. I don't even know that there is a God. Like when you say God, not you, but when someone suggests a creator or a God, I'm like, where are you getting that information from? Because has he spoken to you? Are you telling me you're an atheist? Has he spoken to you? Are you telling me you don't believe that? Has he spoken to you? Because he hasn't spoken to me. So all I know is tree, raccoon, car, stars, patterns, whatever. Right? So all I have is the natural order and self. So that's like the cosmos man, like how do I operate in this place? And I think that for the most part that the ancient cultures who weren't slaves to a one world empire all had time. I don't mean leisure in the sense that, oh man, I just want to be bored out of my mind, man. Like, people who live in a culture of an agrarian society where there's no industry, so to speak, all they have to do is the hard work to get the machine going, right? They got to till the ground. You only have to do that a certain amount of times in the year. Like, we hear all these horror stories about droughts and bullshit like that. Like, we don't know any of that stuff in the past. The Dust Bowls of the Midwest and whatnot. I don't necessarily believe that droughts and famines were as prolific as we might think. I think that the pattern of nature is more that, you've got just, again, spring, summer, fall, and winter. And then you just have those cyclical patterns. And then you learn that you need to store up because you don't always grow those food, right? Like if I'm in this area, what foods grow in my area? Okay, well then I can grow those foods, and then how am I going to sustain those foods while winter time is here? I've got to figure out how to, process and preserve this this fruit. So I think that once you figure that out, and then you teach that to your children and your children and your children and your children, by the 6th or 7th generation, the only thing they really have to worry about is just simply tilling the ground for the next harvest. And then they just sit back. And then they do whatever. But the doing whatever part, I think, is understanding that there's a spiritual dimension. And by spiritual, all I mean is metaphysical. And by metaphysical, I mean, what the fuck are your dreams? Like, what happens in there? Like, where do you go? Like, what is that, Dad? Hey, Dad, last night hey, Dad, little Johnny comes running up to him and he's like, Dad, that was so fun. We went camping and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Johnny, that was a dream. No, Dad, I remember. I was there. I cast the film. Like, no, Johnny. When did that happen? I went to sleep last night. Yeah, that's called a dream. Well, it felt like it was real. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, why do we dream? Like, why? It makes no sense. I know why I poop. I know why I urinate. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's cause and effect there, but why do we dream?
Yeah. Some of them are really vivid, aren't they? Very realistic.
Well, look, I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back in all of my life to those monumental times that I didn't know were monumental, but actually were. Those little hints, those little indications of some significance that I just didn't get at that time, but then later on because they turned that 1 degree, now I'm on a completely different trajectory. But and
what 1 degree of alteration as time goes on down that road, you're getting further and further away. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm trying to work out the albums behind your back. I can see. Is that Peter Frampton? Frampton Comes Alive.
Yep. That's Peter Frampton, right?
Have you got a Chicago there as well? The one at that one, that one.
Chicago, right
there. But what's the one diagonally from that? The 4th one along, that one there. Is that
Marshall Tucker Band?
Oh, I know.
Marshall Tucker. That's Harry Chapin.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
That's Jay Giles.
Jay Giles Band. Yeah.
That's Olivia Newton-John.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Billy Joel.
Mm-hmm.
Boz Scaggs. These are just a smidge. Like I don't have a collection to even really speak of, but I do have another drawer. Like I wanted to put something in the back, I just couldn't. I just got too lazy. I'm like, I wanted to fill in like all of my white space with albums. Mm-hmm. But again, this is the PC camera. My other camera has a different angle, and so it's not as open with the edges around there. But that's Don Henley. That's Howard Jones. There's Olivia Newton-John again. Only because she's a cutie. And
we all loved.
Yeah.
We all loved her when we were kids.
This is Elton John. This is the Motels. There's Gordon Lightfoot. There's Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh yeah, I should have known that one.
This is
Earth, Wind and Fire, is it?
What's that?
It's not Earth, Wind and Fire, is it? There's an album where they're sort of like dancing like that. It is. With a
yeah. Oh no. That's the second. This is Chicago.
Oh right, okay.
That's Chicago too. And then you got down here. You got Dan Fogelberg, Crosby, Stills, Nash. Where's my? Do I not have? My don't. That must be in my other collection. Um, I love the Fleetwood Mac's album Mystery to Me.
Is that the later one or the earlier ones?
No. That's an early
I love
one.
what with Peter Green in it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. Love it.
There's
Yeah,
an amazing song in there called Hypnotized. I love that song. That song is amazing.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah. Peter Green was amazing.
But yeah, I mean, if you watch the movie again and you want to keep this conversation going, man, like I really do, like I really do think that there is a spiritual aspect to who we are. Okay, so going back to the movie, right?
Yeah.
So the movie starts off, and he holds on to the handle of the car, and he's being pulled toward heaven, but he's able to reach the car handle and hold on. At the end of the movie, that happens again, but he doesn't hang on, and he just goes up. But we don't know what happens after that. That should have been like this should have been this should have been the very first, syndicated digital series, like, because you could just keep making these episodes over and over and over again because they're completely dislocated. They have nothing to do with each other, and they're just what happens in people's minds. So I had this idea that I don't know if I saw Black Mirror and then thought of it or whatever. However it happened. My idea is a mashup of Black Mirror. Do you know what Black Mirror is?
Nope.
Okay. You remember Twilight Zone?
Got the film.
No, the movie or the TV show. The TV show.
No, I can't say I did.
Really? Wow. I guess okay. So in Ireland, so back in like the 50s, there was an old science fiction show called The Twilight Zone. And it
Yes, right, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so then
I'm not familiar with it, but I know of it, but I'm not familiar with it.
Okay. So each of the episodes were just these random episodes. Just completely had nothing to do with anything that was happening. It was just non-linear, no storyline except for what was in that, And so they would always show you the Twilight Zone in the 50s was what the X-Files were in the 90s. Yeah. Like they would be like, in my opinion, they would be like truth drops. Like this is what happens out there that you don't know about. And we're kind of showing you, but make you feel like it's just like this. We're really creative thinkers because we have all this time on our hands and we could just write these amazing stories. But in reality, they're just simply showing you what happens in reality and then just making you feel like it's not real. So my idea was to open up for everyone in the world to participate as a creator of the story. So if you had a dream and could remember your dream and write your dream down or whatever, and then send it in, it could be used as an episode. It could be 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Are you familiar with the Canterbury Tales?
I know about them, yeah, sure, but it's been such a long time. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a similar idea. They're all on they're on a pilgrimage to the Canterbury Cathedral, and they decide to tell stories on the way to each other.
Yeah.
And some of the stories are brilliant. Well, they're all brilliant, but some of them are more captivating.
Okay.
Than others. You get all these different stories and moral lessons from a group of people that are on that. Geoffrey Chaucer, I think there was about 20 people, and they were all to give 3 stories, but he died before it could be finished. So it was an unfinished book. But then you got the Life of Bath.
I'm sure I had to read it sometime in college, but it just never clicked for me.
Yeah.
But
what do women desire most? One of the stories is what do women desire most?
Oh, really? Okay.
They desire the power over their husband as they have over their lover.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, I just think that there's more to our spiritual development. Okay, going back to the movie now, right? Okay, so then, you have this conversation with the writer director at the end at the pinball machine where he's talking about Philip K. Dick. And what's interesting is that my view of the New Testament, that it's all in the past. Because there was an expectation that Jesus was supposed to come really soon. He says that. He says that in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, does he?
Yeah. He talks about it because Philip K. Dick in that episode that we watch, he's talking about Philip K. Dick trying to describe what time is, and Philip K. Dick's concept was that we were all locked in AD 50. AD
Yes,
50.
I got that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and everything was the Acts of the Apostles.
Right, yeah. But the guy says because Jesus, this is not word for word, but basically because they were expecting Jesus to come back in their time. He basically says that, which blew my mind because it's like, who would have? Anyway, but the
you can't avoid that teaching when you read the New Testament of how imminent Jesus was coming back. Was it James that says, young children, it is the last hour?
Yeah.
Heard that,
John says that too.
Maybe it was John. Young children, it's the last hour.
Yeah,
it was John.
Little children.
Yeah.
But
my daughter finishes.
Your daughter what?
She finishes work at 10, and I have to collect her. It's now 10 to 10.
Okay.
All right. Show me something, yeah.
No. I don't want to hunt for it because I'm. Oh, you think? Well, I was just going to look for James. I think James does use the last hour motif, but yeah, But see, the whole thing that throws that throws a wrench in that is that when you read the Bible literally, and Jesus says that the stars and the sun and the moon are going to fall from the sky, if you read that literally, then that hasn't happened yet. So then, because they associate that with the tribulation and the last days and then they have to completely remove that into the future because we're just waiting for the stars and the sun and the moon to completely fall out of their circuits. But if Jesus is simply speaking the way the Bible speaks, and we can prove it from other places, which we can, then why isn't Jesus just being consistent with the rest of the Bible by speaking metaphorically? Anyway, I'm not gonna, there's no way I'm gonna be able to find it. Like my old professor used to say, I'm not a navigator. I don't know where it is, but it's in there somewhere. So, Mark,
I do have to go open.
Yeah. Good talking to you, brother. And
it's good talking to you as well.
Let's do it again. I highly encourage you to watch the movie or At Eternity's Gate, and we'll talk about them both.
Yeah, good man. All right. Well, okay. It's not good night. It's not good night to you yet, is it?
Not yet. Good evening.
Not yet. Okay. Good evening. Okay. Good evening, sir.
All right. Good evening.
I have Molly. She works at a fast food place, and she finishes at 10. Or they close the kitchen at 10. Then they clean the place for half an hour, so it's about 10:30. But I need to go in there.
Yeah. No worries. No worries. Thanks for your time.
Okay, my good man. Good man. Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to another exciting adventure of the Ubercaste, the plain truth, talking about life, love, and the pursuit of happiness, all that good stuff. So, I have been your host, Travis Finley. If you've made it this far, make sure you hit that Fonzie if you haven't already. Smash that like, share the content, make a comment, and continue to show up here watching for more exciting adventures. I'm your host, Travis Finley.